Semper Fidelis, always faithful. The motto of the United States Marine Corps inspired Rob Jones from the moment he first read about the exploits of the Marines during World War II. After his junior year in college, Rob found himself in boot camp, welcomed the opportunity to be forged into a Marine, following in the footsteps of the heroes who came before. In 2008, Rob deployed to Iraq, a combat engineer tasked with finding improvised explosive devices that had been the bane of American troops. Serving alongside his fellow Marines, it was there he learned the meaning of true courage. On July 22, 2010, now stationed in Afghanistan, Corporal Rob Jones joined a column of Marines searching for IEDs and booby traps along the way. Suddenly, he heard a loud pop. A Marine had stepped on an IED, setting off its blast cap, but failing to trigger the bomb. Relief turned quickly to extreme tension. Where there was one bomb, there were likely more. Immediately, Rob Jones went into action, grabbing his metal detector and searching the area. He covered every square inch, almost certain that he'd find another bomb somewhere. And then everything went black. Moments later, Rob awoke to the sound of his own screams. Laying on his back and covered in blood, he knew immediately that he'd triggered another IED, severing both of his legs. Marines rushed to his aid. Thoughts of life without his legs flooded his mind. Several times he asked his comrades to put him out of his misery. But as the morphine set in and he was evacuated, he made a vow that he would not accept that avenue. Rob Jones was determined to live. 5 days later, Corporal Jones awoke in an ICU back home in the States. His legs were gone above the knees. He was fighting constant fevers and hallucinating from medications. Recovery was merely surviving. In time, the fever subsided. Rob's condition stabilized. He was moved from the ICU and ready to begin rehab. His first workout consisted of nothing more than lying in bed and lifting what remained of his legs a few times. Little did he know that this would be the start of something incredible. As the weeks went by, Rob Jones got stronger. He set a clinic record for pull-ups. Every day, in every exercise, he worked to push out one more rep. He was slowly forging himself into a new man, a new Marine. In time, Rob was fitted with prosthetic legs, discharged from the hospital, and received his honorable discharge from the Marines as a sergeant. Stronger than ever, he was ready for a new challenge, the 2012 Paralympics in London. Competing in mixed doubles rowing, Rob and his partner Oksana Masters would win a bronze medal for Team USA. Determined to keep pushing himself, the next fall, the Marines set off on a cross-country bike ride, traveling 5,180 miles from Maine to California. All along, he raised awareness and more than $125,000 to support wounded warrior causes. And yet Rob Jones still wasn't finished. So on October 12th, 2017, back in London, 5 years after the Paralympics, Rob got up early and went out to run a marathon. After he finished, he flew home to the States, and the next day, he ran another in Philadelphia. And the following day was New York, and then Boston, every day for 31 days, in 31 cities. Rob Jones began his day with a marathon. And once again, he raised money for charity, determined to be an inspiration for other warriors struggling with their own wounds. He ended his month of marathons on Veterans Day in Washington, passing monuments and memorials paid for by the sacrifice of generations of veterans past and present. Always faithful, Sergeant Rob Jones served his fellow warriors long after he hung up his uniform. And though he knew few would remember his name, he hoped that some might remember the man without legs who once ran a month of marathons. And that man was a Marine.
Ladies and gentlemen, United States Marine, Paralympian athlete, and all-around man of iron, Sergeant Rob Jones.
How hard was it for you to accept what had happened and what you were going to do? Yeah, as you heard in the video, at site of injury, it was pretty difficult. I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. I kind of expected I was going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, being taken care of by my mom. But that was a naive understanding of what it's like to be an amputee. But once I kind of got my senses back, maybe 12 days later after the morphine wore off, honestly, it wasn't very difficult for me to accept the injury, because I knew early on that the more time that I took wishing something that had happened hadn't happened, the less time I would have to affect what I could affect then, and that was what I was going to do now.
Was that what helped motivate you through your recovery? Or was there something else that helped motivate you? What kept you going?
I think what motivated me was one of those famous Marine Corps sayings, once a Marine, always a Marine. And so even though I was wounded, I was on a new battlefield now, I still had the responsibility of a Marine, and that is to fight for your country and fight for your fellow Marines and your fellow veterans, and to fight for your family. And so I went through my recovery with that mindset that I was going to have to continue to fight for them, stay in the fight, and find my new way that I was going to contribute.
What would you want to tell those that are suffering from wounds or injuries or illnesses? What would you like for them to take away from your story?
I think what sums it up best is the most famous of the Marine Corps mottos, what John Cena started that video with, Semper Fidelis. Always have faith in yourself, have faith in your fellow veterans, have faith in your family, and remember that responsibility that you have to each one of those people, and have faith that those people are going to live up to their responsibilities to you, and find your new way to use your tragedies and use your challenges and turn them into strength.
I want to serve with this Marine right here. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please, for Sergeant Rob Jones.